If you do anything for this upcoming Aquarius new moon, let it be this. Paying attention to the insights, lessons, and new information that's coming through. Don't shy away from your shadows, because it's often the thing that are swept under the rug that can tend to hold the keys to our deeper self-understanding and freedom from any sort of outdated patterns. Hello friends, it's your girl Alina, and on this channel we talk all things astrology. And in this video, we'll be covering all the things you need to know about this upcoming new moon happening at 9 degrees in the fixed air sign of Aquarius. It'll be happening on January 28th or 29th, depending on your time zone. And we'll cover all that it means for us, the top transits happening close to the new moon, like Mercury conjuncting Pluto, which we'll get into, and I'll give some custom readings for every zodiac sign. And at the end, I'll offer some custom journal prompts. So come on in, grab a snack, start a chore. Let's go through this together. And before we begin, I want to say a special thank you to Jean Shelby of Jean Shelby Books, the channel on YouTube, who made a flip through guide and review of the 2025 Aura-line astrology planners. So if you're still curious about getting your planner and you want to know exactly what's inside, then be sure to watch her video and use her code Jean Shelby at checkout for 10% off. And guess what? It's the end of January and I want everyone to have a planner, so they are currently 20% off. So if you add on Shelby's 10% off code, you get a total of 30% off your planner. So be sure to check out her video, give her some love as an affiliate as well. She gets an affiliate benefit from this. And I want to say thank you again to Jean Shelby. And with that said, let's dive in. So first off, this Aquarius new moon will be spotlighting things like change, collaboration, and the power of fresh ideas. So in general, new moons represent new beginnings, planting seeds for the month and lunar cycle ahead. And with Aquarius, really emphasizes aspects of logic, structure, and the collective good, while also being open to innovation and individuality. So this lunation will likely be challenging for many of us to think about our actions and how they ripple outward, really pushing for change in areas where we might have notice that we or the community around us have become stagnant. And just as we see that the light builds on the surface of the moon, leading to its energetic and light peak at the full moon, so too can any sort of intentions that you set right now also build momentum. And that's why in the Aura-line planners that I make every single month comes with a new moon journal and ritual area section dedicated to this. So you can set intentions, but also really reflect on the previous lunar cycle. And oftentimes we'll go through our lives and we make connections, we learn lessons, we finally understand certain things, but we don't always pause to actually process them and integrate them into our lives. And this is where the new moon can be such an integral tool for not only aligning with the cosmos in the rhythms that we see with this astral body. It's the astral body that is closest to the earth, but it also helps us to really implement and integrate these lessons and downloads that we have all the time that are all around us. Now, getting in deeper with this new moon being in the sign of Aquarius, Aquarius is a fixed air sign. And this new moon will be bringing a lot of clarity and momentum to ideas that might feel like they are being called to take root, particularly when it comes to collaboration and connecting with people. Now can be a really beautiful time for finding solutions, seeking understanding, connecting dots, namely through our communities, through our loved ones, through collaboration, through holding space for other people's ideas and being open-minded in that way. Aquarius new moons are very innovative and progressive times if we are open to those things. On the flip side, you might find that you are incredibly helpful for community right now. Your unique perspective, skills, ideas, background, history, knowledge can be used in a very vital way right now. But ultimately, this new moon is indicating that the course of this lunar cycle will be heavily focused on the collective and how we collaborate. And there's a lot of energetic support in this space because we are in Aquarius season. All right, with that said, before we explore this Aquarius new moon and how it impacts each sign, let's first take a look at the major transits that'll be shaping the sort of lunation and the energy that it'll be bringing to the collective. First, let's talk about how on January 19th, When the sun enters Aquarius, it'll be marking the beginning of Aquarius season. Now, this will be setting a tone with themes of individuality, innovation, collaboration. And it's a great time for reflecting on your unique role in the collective, how your ideas, your efforts, and goals contribute to something larger than yourself. And I also want to extend a very happy birthday to all of my Aquarius friends. We appreciate your innovation, your courage to be like, no, I'm not going in that direction. I'm going to do this other thing over here. We love you. I know someone close to me who's an Aquarius, and I just love what a free thinking spirit they are in so many ways. Next, on January 27th, Mercury will also be entering Aquarius. So this shift will definitely be enhancing our communication, especially in more intellectual and collaborative spaces. So it's kind of this transit that can really bring in a lot more clarity and fresh perspectives, especially when it comes to looking at problem solving from a more creative lens, and really being more open-minded and motivated to actually seek outside perspectives to try something differently. Next up, let's explore when Mercury in Aquarius will be conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius around this time. We're going to have a lot of Aquarius planets right now. So this conjunction will be a very powerful moment for getting to the heart of matters, both individually and collectively. And I say this because on a personal level, this is a type of transit that can invite deeper reflection and uncover even like hidden truths being spoken. And on a larger scale, we can see the spotlight on group dynamics, societal shadows, societal dynamics, and our perspective of that. Really, themes of accountability, transparency, and needed transformation will likely be dominating conversations. These will be coming up in conversations around the time of this new moon and throughout this lunar cycle. And Pluto's influence really can tend to add this intensity to this type of transit. And it's not just about general ideas, but about reshaping systems and processes. So in Aquarius, this energy can turn toward collective systems, really examining how they've served us and where they might have been falling short. So it can be a really bold moment for confronting issues, processing them together as a collective, and moving toward actionable solutions to evolve. Now, this energy here can be a bit intense, but it can also be very constructive, especially when it comes to embracing meaningful change. And I really want to back up a bit and emphasize why. Now, this is because Pluto is seen as this planet of necessary destruction in order to have a rebirth. You know how, have you ever heard the saying, there's no breakthrough without a breakdown? It's like there's, you know, something like that. Or when you look to nature, you see that all of the leaves die on the trees, right? In the fall and winter, in order for these plants to then come back even bigger, stronger, and thicker in a lot of ways, you know, more lush in the springtime. There is a necessary destruction in some ways in order for there to be rebirth, growth, and change. And that can be seen when we see that Pluto will be in Aquarius and having this transit with Mercury, this planet of, you know, conversation, information exchange, ideas, electricity, the internet. Think of those things. There's going to be likely bigger conversations around the deeper shadows, the underbelly of things, and a lot of those things coming to light, and we're all talking about them on a collaborative scale. And finally, we'll see that the sun and moon in Aquarius will be trining with Jupiter in Gemini, which is retrograde. Now, this is one of the most optimistic and pretty expansive aspects of this new moon that will probably be felt the strongest. And that's because Jupiter's retrograde in Gemini will be asking us to revisit past ideas and perspectives with fresh eyes. And with this trine with the moon, it'll be likely opening more doors for lucky breakthroughs. And this transit will definitely be supporting more meaningful conversations, intellectual curiosity, and progress. And with Jupiter involved, there can be this sense of prosperity and abundance, but it'll ultimately be rooted with a thoughtfulness rather than an impulsivity. So collectively, this will really suggest new information and even revelations that really resonate deeply and encourage us to process and integrate insights will be coming to light around this time. Around this new moon, we might see things that really spark a shift in our perspectives in a lot of ways that kind of broaden our perspectives. So overall, this Aquarius new moon will be highlighting a sort of need for innovation on a collaborative scale and facing shadows together, whether in personal relationships, communities, or society as a whole. And wherever Aquarius falls in your natal chart is where you'll feel a lot of this energy, all of these planets in Aquarius the most intensely. So with that said, let's dive into how this will be impacting each individual sign. Go ahead and go to your sign in the timestamps of this video below, and I'll see you there. Hello to my Aquarius friends. So this new moon, the sun, Mercury, and Pluto will all be transiting and activating your first house of identity, the body, and self-expression. So this all will be indicating a lunar cycle with pretty powerful opportunities for rest and reflection, specifically on your identity, on your self-image, and any potential shadows or insights that come to the surface at this time that could deepen your self-empathy and self-understanding, most importantly. And with Mercury and Pluto's conjunction in your sign, it'll be indicating that there can be revelations about your personal power, and shadows again may surface, leading to potential breakthroughs in self-awareness. And the catalyst for this and support will likely be through your community, whether it is through your family, your friends, or even your workspace. So really stay open to other people's perspectives at this time. This can really be this chance to set intentions for how you want to show up in the world in a more involved way. And consider asking yourself, what parts of your identity potentially no longer serve your growth? And how can you collaborate more authentically with others while staying true to yourself? So holding space for other people's authenticity while also being yourself. What does that environment look like for you, my Aquarius friends? Hello to my Pisces friends. So I want to first acknowledge that in my last full moon reading, the reading for you guys got cut off. So I am very sorry, and I'm going to make sure that this is thorough. So this new moon, the sun, Mercury, and Pluto will all be transiting and activating your 12th house of hidden matters, healing, the imagination, and spirituality. So this all will be indicating a lunar cycle and a new moon that could bring in notable opportunities for deeper introspection, releasing subconscious fears, and embracing deeper levels of healing. And with Mercury and Pluto's conjunction in your 12th house, it suggests a deeper inner revelations, or specifically revelations that are tied to hidden matters or emotions that either you have avoided or you didn't even realize were there. So this can be a really important time for prioritizing solitude, self-reflection, and holding space for potential spiritual healing and even community healing. And I feel called to share this really important lesson, which is, you might have heard this before, which is like, you need to be okay with being alone. A lot of spiritual people, they have solitude and it's about being alone. And I'm a very I really enjoy being in communion with people. I really enjoy hearing other people's perspectives, learning from other people. That's how I grow, right? So I never really resonated with that. And it wasn't until recently that I learned the power of being okay with being alone. And it is because of this. And I'm just sharing this because I feel like somebody might need to hear this, especially with these transits. And that is that when you are okay with being alone, you're okay with stepping away from situations that do not resonate with you. It's a lot harder for there to be any form of codependency or dependency on other people. Like, think of anyone who might have hurt your feelings, or the vibe is off, or whatever, your intuition is speaking with around certain people, groups, environments, but you kind of push it down a little bit and you give them the benefit of the doubt in certain ways, even when it's not in your best interest. For whoever this resonates with, there is power in being okay with being alone, because you're also okay with stepping away from those people and you don't feel like you have lost as much, because you're like, you know what, I'm okay with being alone. Also, when you're alone, you have more time to sit and process your experiences. And it can be very unconscious and almost insidious in some ways. Not always for everybody. This is not for everybody. Like, I'm gonna, talk about both sides of the coin. This is just one side of the coin. But sometimes you can get into the habit of being in certain environments that your intuition has told you over and over again is just like not the vibe for whatever reason. But you have gotten so used to it, it's become normalized. And it isn't until you actually step away long enough that you can kind of have a bird's eye view in a lot of ways, and you realize, oh my gosh, I'm actually feeling better, and X, Y, and Z isn't coming up as much. And sometimes it's that space that can give you power. On the flip side to that, this is an Aquarius new moon. These transits, these planets are, while they are transiting your 12th house, it is still in Aquarius, which is a very collaborative sign. And so on the flip side to this, there can be a lot of lessons around the sheer power that you and your community hold together, the sheer power that you can wield to heal others, to support others, how the power of coming together with others with the right intentions, and how that can just have a ripple effect in so many people's lives in so many different ways. And those things can be coming up right now as well. And with this new moon happening, this could be a powerful time for leaning into these communities, whether that literally is your friend or your partner or, your neighborhood or the club or the group or even your coworkers or things like that. It can be incredibly healing to be around other people who affirm your existence, affirm your uniqueness, accept who you are, and you reflect that back to them. There can be things that pop up within those realms for you, my Pisces friend. So I just want to give you a thorough reading, and I'm just sending you my love. Oh, and the last thing that I want to say is consider reflecting on this and asking yourself if there's been anything coming up over and over, creating any potential upset, and what would it look like for you to process and heal those things for good? What would it look like to start that process? And what has helped you reflect the most in the past? Has it been journaling, talking, solitude, art? Really consider returning to those things over the course of this lunar cycle, because I really think that they can bring a lot of insight for you. Hello to my Aries friends. So this new moon, along with the sun, Mercury, and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your 11th house of community, friendships, and long-term goals. So this all will be indicating a lunar cycle with opportunities for redefining your connections and aligning your aspirations with your values. And with Mercury and Pluto being conjunct in your 11th house, this may bring about potential revelations about your social circles or uncovering truths about certain group dynamics. So this can be a really great opportunity to assess where you feel supported and how you show up for others to support them, and whether adjustments may be needed. And a personal note that I just feel called to share with you is to not sleep on the power of community. It can be so easy for many of us to self-isolate and to almost supplement socializing with scrolling on our phones. And this new moon in this lunar cycle is bringing in a lot of supportive energy and a lot of, it's indicating that you will have a collection or a few notable experiences that put a spotlight on collaboration in different ways in your life. So don't be afraid to lean into that and to really pause to process the lessons that might be coming up for you around this time. It's also important, I just feel, called to remind you this, everyone is a mirror in community. Everyone is a mirror. I don't know if you've heard that saying that the people that trigger us most, usually it's because there's something within those people that resonate with us in some way. So, an example that comes to mind is someone who's like really confident, really outgoing, really charismatic, and they're just outspoken. And for some people who have told themselves all their lives that they need to shrink themselves and they need to be, as agreeable and almost like a wallflower in order to be safe, that can be triggering, because it's like, oh my gosh, that person, they're taking up all this space. It can be very triggering for them because they don't allow themselves to do that, right? But it's this mirror of this duality. It's like going in one direction for so long, you can be triggered by the opposite direction. And this is just one thing that comes to mind, but really consider any of these experiences, obviously within reason, if you feel safe and these people are not like evil, bad people, consider pausing to reflect on what it is within you that is being stirred up. So not making it about them, but reflecting on what is within you. Because there's a lot of people out there who are really outgoing, or there are a lot of people who have certain personality traits that other people come across, and it is noticeable. It's like, okay, they have that distinct personality, but they're not triggered by it. They're cool with it. They're like, okay, you do you over there, or like you do you, and we're going to show up in our own unique ways. And it's actually these uniqueness that can come together as puzzle pieces to co-create a cool dynamic. We don't all have to be the same. And I just feel called to say that for y'all, like holding space for that. And also, if you find yourself to be the one who's like the odd man out and you're just being yourself and people are triggered or somebody else is, stay yourself. As long as you're not hurting anybody, It is so important for people to embrace themselves. It's so important for everybody to embrace who they are and find the communities that are accepting of those things, that are accepting of those things. So I don't know, those are all the things that came up for me for y'all. So I'm just wishing you a beautiful new moon, a beautiful new lunar cycle, and I hope that this guidance resonates with you. And if it did, be sure to comment about it. But either way, I will see y'all in the next one. Hello to my Taurus friends. So this new moon, along with the sun, along with Mercury and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your 10th house of career, public image, reputation, and long-term ambitions. So this will all be indicating a lunar cycle with pretty powerful opportunities for reflecting on your professional goals, how you communicate your knowledge and your expertise, your wisdom, your experience, and redefining your public persona if you feel it's needed. And with Mercury and Pluto's conjunction in your 10th house, it'll be suggesting potential shifts in how you approach your ambitions and how you communicate your ambitions. So this can be a really great time for bold, authentic action and reevaluation when it comes to your long-term strategy and your public sort of persona, how you show up in the world. And consider asking yourself, what steps align with your truest career values, with your most authentic long-term values? Hello to my Gemini friends. Now this new moon, along with the sun, Mercury, and Pluto, will all be throwing a party, transiting and activating your 9th house of higher learning, travel, and spiritual beliefs. So this will all be indicating a lunar cycle with opportunities for expanding your perspectives, exploring potentially new philosophical or spiritual practices and beliefs, and breaking free of any sort of limiting worldviews. And with Mercury and Pluto's conjunction happening in your 9th house, it'll really be encouraging deeper reflection on your spiritual beliefs, your truths, and inspiring more transformative growth and intellectual renewal. So consider asking yourself, what potentially outdated beliefs or limitations might you be ready to let go of? And where can you be more open to new possibilities? And also, what has been working for you, whether it's been in the last few months or even the last few years. I feel called to bring up with y'all that I've had this experience where I look back and I'm like, you know what? That supplement was really helping me and I just kind of fell off of it and I forgot, but it was really helping me. Okay, I'll bring it up again. Or you know what? When I was going for walks every other day or even 2 times a week, I noticed this difference in my mood. And I think maybe it was the sun, the fresh air. And it was so subtle, but it wasn't until I stopped doing it. I bring up all these examples because sometimes there are spiritual practices or, even taking moments to just pause and be present, sit in nature just for 30 minutes or an hour on the weekends, how it can have this compound effect in your life. It doesn't have to necessarily be really intricate. Or reading that one book. I just feel called to remind y'all that there are a lot of tools around you that are not only free, but they are likely tools that you have used in the past or that other people have maybe brought up with you or recommended, bringing in that collaborative Aquarius aspect of things. But yeah, wishing you a beautiful new moon and new lunar cycle. Hello to my Cancer friends. So this new moon, along with the sun, Mercury, and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your 8th house of personal transformation, shared resources, and intimacy. And this will all be indicating a lunar cycle with opportunities for deeper levels of emotional growth, greater intimacy, vulnerability, and potentially confronting fears tied to vulnerability. And with Mercury and Pluto's conjunction happening in your 8th house, it may bring about buried dynamics that are, below the surface that might have to do with emotional or financial topics. And what I mean by that is the 8th house is this house of long-term financial investment. So think about buying a house or buying stocks, in your Roth IRA or your 401k or just long-term investments, or even like purchasing a car or some type of investment type thing. Think about contracts, long-term contracts. Think about marriage, long-term relationships. Whenever we mention the 8th house and it has to do with intimacy and deeper levels of connection, a lot of that has to do with vulnerability, because it is through being vulnerable, it is through opening up, it is through bringing deeper rooted things to the surface of, why do I behave that way? I think it has to do with this from my background. And if I process that, maybe it'll help my relationship, or maybe it'll help how I show up in collaborative spaces. It's that deeper rooted, knowing. So I feel like y'all are going to have a relatively emotional, potentially, but very illuminating new moon and lunar cycle that brings up a lot of these things. And it could manifest as, people maybe bringing these things up with you and saying like, hey, I noticed this, like, is everything cool? Or maybe you doing that with others. But ultimately it's indicating experiences that kind of take you down that path of deeper reflection and intimacy and vulnerability. And that might be with yourself, literally just with yourself, where you're finally picking up on these things and you're realizing maybe even the part that you have played in certain relationships. So you're like, why does it keep on going this way? And you're realizing, you know what they did wasn't good, but also I did kind of co-create this in this X, Y, and Z way. Maybe it was unconscious. So really consider those reflections, but also consider asking yourself, how can you create more openness and trust in your relationships while also honoring your boundaries? What does that look like? Hello, and welcome to my Leo friends. So this new moon, along with the Sun, Mercury, and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, duality, and equitability. So this will be indicating a lunar cycle with opportunities for nurturing authentic connections, addressing any potential imbalances, and strengthening your collaborations, whether they're romantic, platonic, at work, or at home. And with Mercury and Pluto forming a conjunction in your 7th house, it may indicate you uncovering potential truths of your one-on-one dynamics, even revealing areas for growth or release in your relationships. So really consider asking yourself, what do you need to release or sort of transform relationships to create more balance and equal fulfillment? And again, Pluto is this planet of necessary breakdowns in order to have breakthroughs, necessary even potential destruction in order to build something new, better, and healthier. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything negative, but with it coming together with Mercury, it really indicates that sort of these things can be coming to light in a lot of ways, and there can be this buildup over the course of this new moon that's based off of this new information coming to light, especially in your relationships. And so, yeah, it can be very interesting. I don't know, it just kind of seems like you might have some outside information that illuminates something within your relationships that kind of helps to inform your perspective of things and maybe expand your awareness and your perspective of things from being kind of a little too zoomed in. And it's like you kind of zoom out and you see things in a different light. That can be very helpful at this time. So, and all this can be very positive. These can be positive surprises and insights. It could be, oh my goodness, I didn't know that you felt that way. I didn't know, like, those positive things. I didn't know that that's how much you cared. Wow. Thank you for feeling safe enough to open up to me about those things, and that could be flipped around as well, this deepening of relationships. So that is my reading for y'all, and I'm wishing you a beautiful new lunar cycle. Hello to my Virgo friends, and welcome in. So this new moon, along with the Sun, Mercury, and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your 6th house as they transit Aquarius. And this is your house of daily routines, health, and service. So this will be indicating a lunar cycle that'll be offering opportunities for refining your habits, improving your well-being, and uncovering any potential hidden patterns in your daily life that you didn't realize were maybe contributing to something, so any sort of cycle that you're maybe wanting to break free from, improve upon, or anything like that. And with Mercury, the planet of information exchange, conjuncting with Pluto, the planet of necessary destruction for rebuilding better things in your 6th house, it'll be signaling a potential need for more thoughtful evaluations of your routines and changes that might be needed to help you to more efficiently sort of achieve your goals and to be alignment with what it is that you want. And what it is that you want might literally be rest. It might literally be calming the nervous system, getting grounded, really nourishing yourself. The 6th house is really this house of the home, of nourishment, of health in a lot of ways. And so this could be bringing up a lot of deeper rooted information that has to do with your health or the health of others, and how these systems, routines, cycles, rituals can be helpful or potentially have been hindering what it is that you're working towards. But definitely pay attention to these things. You might also notice opportunities to either improve upon these things or really double down on them around the time of this lunar cycle. But there will likely be a buildup over the course of this lunar cycle with these themes for you. Hello, hello, and welcome into my Libra friends. So this new moon, along with the sun, along with Mercury and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your 5th house of creativity, joy, and self-expression. So this can be indicating a lunar cycle with opportunities for reconnecting with your personal passions and embracing your inner artist, your inner child, your inner creativity, and where you find joy. And with Mercury and Pluto conjuncting in your 5th house, it'll be encouraging reflection on what truly brings you fulfillment and how you prioritize those things in your life. So really consider pausing and asking yourself, what creative passions or joys are you ready to embrace more fully? And how can you make space for them in your life, even more so than maybe you already have? You know, what's coming up with these transits for you is that I don't know, it feels like there's going to be themes that have to do with balancing the collective and what the vibe is within the groups that you inhabit, whether it's family, friends, workspaces, and also holding space for who you are and what your creative inklings are, what your authentic personality is, you know, and finding a balance in those spaces, or maybe even finding new environments where you feel more affirmed and supported to more comfortably actually allow these creative things and these downloads to actually flow through. So yeah, be mindful of those things. But I'm wishing you a beautiful new moon. Hello and welcome to my Scorpio friends. I am sending you so much love and gratitude. I got a comment in my last full moon video that they felt like I didn't like Scorpios, and it was kind of coming through in the readings. And I just want to say, first off, thank you. Thank you for the constructive feedback. Thank you. I want to co-create a space where everybody feels comfortable giving constructive feedback. And so I am pausing to acknowledge your comment and apologize if I did that. And I just want to say that if I did do that, it was unconscious, because I, as a Gemini with a lot of Gemini placements, not Gemini rising, I have like a lot of Gemini placements. I personally really resonate and connect with Scorpios in that we get such a bad rap. It's like, I feel like we're the two signs that have such negative stereotypes tied to us. And so I just really don't want to be that person. Before I was an astrologer, I remember following an astrologer who I loved so much. Like, I followed her and everything she said was so great. And she had a vendetta, like an open vendetta for Geminis. And it just really sucked and it hurt my feelings. And I felt so disappointed and I just stopped listening to her. And I don't want to be that person. So anyway, I just want to acknowledge that. And I just want to accept my love to y'all. Like, you guys are the wisest, in my opinion, one of the most important signs that we have. Like, especially in the US, I feel like on a collective level, like so many people just scratch the surface of our emotional depth out of fear of facing reality in a lot of ways. And I feel like Scorpios can be so acutely skilled at identifying that at people and reading people, and also at helping people to not be afraid of the full spectrum of reality, of our shadows as well as our light. It's not just embracing the shadows or the taboo or whatever, but also embracing the light and not being, you know, beholden to one area or the other. So anyway, that's my little appreciation moment for my Scorpios, but let's get into this reading for you. All right, so this new moon, along with the sun, Mercury, and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your 4th house of the home, family, and emotional foundations, along with your more immediate community. So this will be indicating a lunar cycle that will be presenting opportunities to strengthen your roots, really addressing emotional patterns and creating a more supportive home environment. And considering that Mercury and Pluto will be conjuncting in your 4th house, it may bring up potentially buried family dynamics to the light, or it could be encouraging deeper emotional introspection at this time. All in all, it seems like there will be experiences and situations that will be hearkening back to your immediate circle, your immediate, whether that's family, the people you live with, your partner. It could be having to do with your immediate home. But ultimately, with this being an Aquarius new moon, it's indicating that there's collaborative things going on maybe in your home, but there's this opportunity for intention setting in this area, and you can really leverage that into the new lunar cycle. And it seems like there is a potential that there might be triggers or experiences that bring you back to some type of potential childhood wound or childhood or experiences from when you were younger that involve family in some way, and it being tied back. Now, I do see this on one side of the coin. It might not even be you. It might be somebody opening up or kind of picking up on certain dynamics that you realize stem from your past, or that you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that this was going on, especially with Pluto coming into play. Like, Pluto is very, very much tied to Scorpio, right? You know, and it's all about this deeper level of intimacy and acknowledging certain things, right? And I think that could be coming up for y'all. But ultimately, I think that this can be a very healing opportunity for you if you do notice these things come up, because it seems like with Pluto coming together with Mercury, it seems like for many of us, you either might experience more conversation around this, like you're finding more articles and information that are helping you to understand something, or you yourself find it a bit easier to finally articulate something that you couldn't fully put the words to before, that could potentially help you on this journey of connecting the dots and better processing, transmuting something. And consider asking yourself, what does stable and nurturing home environments, what does that look like for you? What does it look like for you to co-create those environments as well? Hello, hello to my Sagittarius friends. Now, this new moon, along with the sun, the moon, and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your third house of communication, learning, information exchange, the air, and local connections. So this will all be indicating a lunar cycle with opportunities for refining your communication, expanding your knowledge, and even strengthening your more local connections, groups, meetups, family. And with Mercury and Pluto's conjunction in your third house, it'll definitely be encouraging you to uncover or acknowledge, and once you acknowledge it, potentially transform the ways that you express your ideas and the ways that you connect with others. So consider pausing to ask yourself, what potential stories or patterns involving communication are you ready to transform to better reflect your truth, to better communicate your truth? And I say all this because, you know, we see Pluto, it's this planet of necessary breakdowns in order to have breakthroughs, necessary destruction in order to rebuild something better and healthier. Around the time of this new moon and through this new lunar cycle, there might be experiences that kind of bring up the topic of communication, miscommunication, misunderstandings, of a disconnect in understanding something, and how it is through realizing these things that you can actually better navigate certain situations. I think it could look like people, you know, bringing something up with you, or there even maybe being information or an email being put out that ultimately better helps you to better understand how to navigate things socially. And so that's something to reflect on and see if that is something that comes up for you. But ultimately, when it comes to you on an interpersonal level, considering and reflecting on how you show up in your community, how you communicate with others. And I think that there will be themes around that time for you. But I'm wishing you a beautiful new moon. Thank you for watching. Hello, hello, and welcome into my Capricorn friends. So this new moon, along with the sun, Mercury, and Pluto, will all be transiting and activating your second house of finances, values, and self-worth. So this all will be indicating a lunar cycle that will be tied to opportunities for redefining your relationships with money, evaluating your values, and building greater confidence in your self-worth. And with Mercury and Pluto conjunct in your second house of finances, resources, and values, this will be encouraging deeper reflection on your financial habits and your relationship with value, what makes you feel valuable. And consider asking yourself, what do you need to release or change to create more feelings of abundance and stability in your life? And when we see that Pluto will be transiting your second house conjunct with Mercury, you know, Pluto is this planet of necessary breakdowns in order to have breakthroughs, necessary destruction of things in order to rebuild something bigger and better. When you think of that from the perspective of the psyche in your personal life, that could look like necessary breaking down of old ideologies and old perspectives of finance and old perspectives of maybe even what you deem as valuable, what makes you feel valuable, what makes you feel worthy. When you reflect on those things and dive deeper, which Pluto is all about, that diving deeper into the shadows to better understand things, break them down, that way you can rebuild something that is evolved to be in alignment with your evolved self, because we're always evolving. It seems like this new moon could bring about experiences along with these transits that kind of bring up those subjects for you. And what, I don't know why, but what comes to mind is clothing, appearance, you know, shoes, the right car, the right house, how you show up online. What are, you know, these things that a lot of people believe add to their value, communicate status. With this new moon being in Aquarius, all about community, collaboration, evolution, progressiveness, and innovation through working together and exchanging information, not just having an idea, but going to people and working together to build upon that, learning from others, teaching others as well. It seems like this will happen on a scale that involves others in some way, where there could be community reflecting back to us something, or you reflecting back something to the community. So that's what's coming up, but I'm wishing you a beautiful, beautiful new moon, my friends. All right, y'all. Now with that said, let's get into these custom Aquarius New Moon journal prompts. Now, if you have your Auraline Astrology Planner, which by the way, we have a mini restock going on right now, and you can get up to 30% off. There's currently a 20% off discount, but if you use the code in the description, you'll get a full 30% off, adding it all together. But anyway, if you have your Auraline Astrology Planner, you can flip over to the dedicated Aquarius New Moon journaling area within the month of January. So go ahead and flip to that page. What does healthy community look like to you on a citywide level and scale? Describe an environment where you have felt comfortable being your authentic self. How could you co-create an environment like that? And finally, is there any new or existing new moon intentions that you'd like to set around this time? All right, y'all, I hope that you enjoyed those journal prompts. Now I want to answer one of the journal prompts myself to catch y'all up on my life a bit and spark some conversation, I guess. So when it comes to environments where I have felt the most safe and comfortable, the first one that came to mind, there's been a lot in my sort of day-to-day life and environment, but one that comes to mind is the Auraline retreat that I got to host in Thailand this summer. And just being able to not only travel, right, but be able to share the experience with like-minded people, like you're experiencing this too, and being able to nerd out about astrology and to connect with people who care about it on similar levels to me, along with caring about traveling. You know, it's just so cool. Like, and actually right now, I am deepening my studies in astrology. I'm taking a 6+ month long course on Hellenistic astrology and traditional astrology. And I'm taking the class with one of the travelers of the retreat. I don't know if she cares if I say her name, so I'm just not going to. But it's just been really, really cool to connect in that way. But that's a community that I feel really safe with. And I just really, that is just such a special thing to be able to like go to a group where y'all are all into the same thing. Anyway, that's just something that came to mind. And since I brought that up, I don't know when we're going to have the next retreat, if we're going to have a 2025 retreat. I just felt a calling to kind of scale things back and restructure things so that when we do have our next retreat, it's a lot more affordable and accessible for people. I'm kind of brainstorming doing a weekend retreat in the States, because I feel like that's a lot more accessible for people depending on where it is. Flights can be super, reasonable for a lot of people as well, especially with work schedules. So I'm going to leave a survey and, just like a sign up in the description box where you can sign up to be notified for the next retreat. But yeah, that's something that's come to mind. All right, y'all, if you have made it to the end of this video, I would love if you, number one, the easiest thing and the number one way to support my work, and it's free, is just to hit the like button, because it helps to tell the algorithm that you like content like this. And it's just, it actually makes a difference. I'm learning. The other thing you can do is just leave a comment letting me know that you made it to the end by commenting 3 new moons. And comment if you have noticed any of these new moon transits already. Like, because there's going to be so many planets all in one sign, in the sign of Aquarius, I feel like we're all going to feel this a lot more acutely. So I'm really, really curious to hear if you have any stories about feeling these transits more acutely. But with that said, I just want to remind y'all about Jean Shelby, to watch her video of the flip through of the Auraline 2025 astrology planners. If you're still on the fence, get it at 30% off when you use her 10% off code in combination with a 20% off discount that we're having on the site. It's the end of the month. I want everybody to have a planner at an affordable rate if that works for you. And so, yeah. But with all of that said, I will leave you with my favorite quote. And that is, be gentle with yourself, because life is about the journey, not the destination. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.